Welcome back to The Price of Business. I'm your host, Kevin Price, talking to you about you and your business. My good friend, Richard Wakim, he's here in my studio, so you know who he is. He's with Brilliant Energy. That's brilliantenergy.com. Those guys I talk about really quite often on the show. Their commitment to customer service, to quality. These guys are really awesome. And, you know, I'm not only a customer, I'm a huge fan. And Richard, as always, good to see you.
Likewise, it's good to see you too. It's always a pleasure being on the show. Today is a special day for Brilliant Energy, where we're hosting the Harris County Animal Shelter volunteers and hard workers on the show to help us shed some light on the beautiful life that they try to provide for our abandoned dogs and cats and the strays, and the struggles they go through and the pleasant outcomes that they provide for these wonderful animals.
Yeah, absolutely. By the way, that website for them is hcphes.org. hcphes.org. Before we get into our interview, I do want to mention if you go to priceofbusiness.com, you'll see our ad there for Brilliant Energy, and customers who sign up through priceofbusiness.com, they get a $50 gift card as well. And so showing some love to both my listeners and to the Price of Business show. We appreciate you, man.
Thank you. We appreciate you.
Let's go straight to our guest, Colleen Hodges. She is with Education and Outreach for this organization. Why don't you kind of give us the elevator speech of what you guys are all about?
Thank you for having us, first of all, and thank you to Brilliant Energy for all of their help and sponsorship and all the toys you guys have done and the special programs that give the shelter money and all those wonderful things. You guys are great. We appreciate you doing it.
You're very welcome.
We are the Harris County Animal Shelter. Our job is to take care of the pets of Harris County and to help people to be safe in their neighborhoods with their pets and basically try to rehome those animals that people in unincorporated Harris County can't keep for themselves.
Mm-hmm. Very good. Richard, your question?
From our perspective, as self-proclaimed pet lovers at Brilliant Energy, we wanted to connect with our community and share our passion for pets. Therefore, about a year ago, we looked for this wonderful organization that carries the name Harris County Animal Shelter to associate ourselves with, to be able to give back to the community. We realize there's a huge problem in Houston with overpopulation of animals and the need to care for them. So we're trying our best to extend the hand to the shelter and the shelter folks to help these wonderful animals.
And we sincerely appreciate everything you guys have done, not only just the donations with the girls coming out with the toys and the food and the treats and all that stuff, but also with the energy plan that you have that actually gives the shelter cash money that we can spend on extra vaccines or testing. Animal care, I don't know, as you know, is rather expensive. And so every time you do a heartworm test, it costs this much. And every time you do a vaccination, it costs that much. And all of those donations help go towards those types of things that help us get animals healthy and put them back into the communities. Budget-wise, we're probably, of the major animal shelters in town, we're the lowest funded. So we appreciate every penny you can give us. And it goes directly to the animals.
Yeah, and it was interesting to see because of the way it looks, the site looks to fill, the fact that you cannot turn down any animal regardless of how difficult that animal circumstances are.
Absolutely not.
What is your relationship with the government, the Harris County government?
We are a division of Harris County government. We are under the Public Health and Environmental Services Department, so we are part of government. And because of that, anyone who brings us an animal from our jurisdictional area, unincorporated Harris County, we have to take it. Whether it's sick or healthy or aggressive or nice or, 2 weeks old and doesn't have a mother cat or mother dog, we have to take those animals. Mm-hmm. And then we would like to find a way to have happy outcomes for those animals. And that is time consuming and expensive. And so money and volunteers are always needed and appreciated. We struggle with our space issues. Our shelter was built in 1986 and really hasn't added any kennel space since then.
Wow. And when you consider how much Houston has grown since then.
Absolutely.
Lord have mercy.
When we started, I think our population was like 875,000 or something. So that was quite a while ago. We're built to handle about 12,000 animals a year, and we're dealing with about 25,000 a year now.
Richard?
2.1 million residents outside Harris County and outside the city of Houston, about 25,000 animals taken care of last year by the shelter versus their capacity of 12,000. You can only sense and feel the overcrowding and what ends up happening in the degraded, perhaps, care that's involuntary for these animals. At this point in time, and I'll let Colleen discuss this in detail. There's a huge, wonderful Proposition 3, up for voting this coming up November 3rd, this coming Tuesday on November 3rd.
I see Colleen is raring to go. Give that rundown.
Absolutely. The facts are that Proposition 3 is a bond proposition for $24 million to build a new animal shelter for Harris County. And I think it's important to note that on the bond itself, it's not going to say animal shelter. It's going to be called a veterinary public health adoption and care center. Wow. So it doesn't say shelter, it says adoption and care center. But it will build not only a new shelter for Harris County, but will also provide space for additional housing or longer housing of animals. Because of the overcrowding, you can't hold animals as long as you would like to give them a chance to be adopted, to allow us to isolate animals. So those animals that come in that are sick, we have a way to put them someplace separate from the rest of the population so they don't infect everybody while we treat them. Awesome. Also space for, in the future, a clinic for residents to come and bring their pets for treatment. And so all of these things are geared towards getting more animals out alive, as well as having these animals treated and not come into the shelter.
I understand that. You know, Richard, I want to tell you, I think you're pretty awesome for bringing this to our attention, because I watch a lot of news, during election cycle, and I didn't see hardly anything about this proposition. And so you bringing this to our listeners' attention, and I'm with you on this. I know they've got that delicate position of where they can inform, but they can't endorse. That's the challenge that they have at HCPHES, but you and I have that luxury. I think it's so important you brought this, to our audience attention. I appreciate you doing that.
You are so very welcome. It really is dear to our heart. The subject matter is extended throughout our company. We have such a passion for pets, and that's just one way that we extend ourselves to the community. And if we can do any good in any portion of that, we're ready for it.
Colleen, let me ask you, what happens if this doesn't pass?
That's a really good question. We still need a new shelter. The building we have is 30 years old, and things like plumbing and air conditioning and all those things need repairs and upgrades and those kind of things. It's just not going to happen all at once, and probably long term it would end up being more expensive.
Yeah. And I'm a big, fiscal conservative. Anyone hears my program, they know that. But the reality is that there are some things that are functions that work on a local level. This is something that needs to exist. There is no viable alternative out there, and it needs to be done in a way that functions in a humane way that really shows the best of Houstonians, not the worst of it. And really the way the status quo right now seems to be a reflection of the worst rather than the best.
We certainly can't provide the care and the resources that we would like to, that we think the animals that deserve, and we think the people of Harris County deserve. We would like to do better, and we struggle with the limitations of what we currently have. And so we're hoping that this will help us to better serve the people and the pets of Harris County. That's what it all comes down to. HCPHES.org. I want to encourage you to check it out, get the great information there. BrilliantEnergy.com, but also go to priceofbusiness.com so you can save $50 and click that click that logo there. Richard, final thoughts again. I want to congratulate you, because I know you as a humanitarian, a person who really cares about your neighborhood. You care about our families, our animals. I think it's awesome that you brought this, to our listeners. I appreciate it.
Thank you for having us and giving us the forum to be able to discuss some really important issues, not only to the animals, but to the residents of Houston and the state of Texas as well. This is an epidemic that we need to deal with and would like to get the word out.
Yeah, absolutely. So I encourage the listener, check out hcphes.org. Learn about this important proposition. It flashes right up there on the homepage. You can get more information about it and give it some serious thought. And meanwhile, in the interim, consider donating to this organization. Regardless of what happens with this, $25 million in bonds, regardless of what happens with that, you still have financial needs. We still have financial needs. We still have animals coming in the door, whether or not this passes. We still have animals that need to be taken care of. We still have people that need our services. So by all means, financial donations are needed. Volunteers are needed. So anyone that wants to volunteer, please go to the website and look at our different volunteer opportunities. Yeah. All the help we can get. Approximately 80 animals a day come into your facilities. That's a lot of animals. That's a lot of animals. And apparently last year was a pretty big year for you guys. 25,000. It was a big year for you
Well,
guys.
it's different days.
Yeah.
Some days are more, some days are less,
Yeah, that's right. But that's a lot of animals. Thanks to all of you. I appreciate it so much.
We appreciate having
Keep
us.
up the great work there, Richard.
We certainly will do.
Thank you
bet.
for putting our animals on Facebook, Richard.
My
Yeah,
pleasure.
yeah, absolutely. I'm going to start doing that too because they are so dang cute. All right. When we come back, much more for you. Do want to remind you, best content here shows up over there at usdatareview.com. And this is The Price of Business.